Hi everyone. Have you gone through yesterday's notes? Do you have any doubts regarding yesterday or previous classes? Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, hi Taran. Good.
Yes,
Good. Any doubts regarding yesterday's class? Okay.
Uh, mm, Attended Taran. I'll go through this weekend. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
It's a difficult. It's finding difficult to log in at this time during office hours. Somehow I'm
Okay.
managing. I'll just go through this weekend and get back to
Fine. Okay. In today's class, we will go over every time-related module built into Python. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
you. Yeah. Got your.
Hmm. Good. Remember these names because these are very important. In Python, there are different time modules. They are already built in. You need not pip install them. You can access them directly by importing them. The first one name is time. The name is self-explanatory, just time. The second one name is date time, and this offers date time, import date time, date and time. Datetime provides three types of time management objects: datetime, date, and time. This time is different from this time. The use case of this time only has only two use cases. Extremely simple to remember, but know that when you are using datetime has three submodules under it: datetime, date, and time. And finally, time delta and relative delta. These are easy to understand. I will explain them later. Time delta is also from date time, but relative delta is from date util. Import relate date time dot. Good. Let me see. Relative delta. This notebook is pretty long, but very easy to understand. The every module structure is very identical. So once you go through a single time package, the okay, Python date util no from date util dot relative delta from date. Okay, looks like we should install date util. We will go over this later. Relative delta part. Good. The most important packages for us to remember associated with the time in Python are time and then date time. Date time has a date time, date, time, and time delta. Note that this time is entirely different from this time. And then time delta and relative delta. These two are easy. Once I explain the date time and time, you will easily understand this. Good. Up until this point, we have never represented times, right? We have represented a date, we have represented names, numbers, and everything as strings or integers and floats. We have even represented true or false using Boolean values, but we never represented time. You might say that why not represent a time using a string? This is entirely possible. 0 to 5, let's say if I want to represent a time, I can do this, right? This is a string, but storing a time value, storing a date value. Oh, whenever I mean time or date, time can date means just the year, month, and day. Clear? Whenever I mean time, hour, PM or AM. Whenever I mean date time, it means a combination of both date and time. Uh, is this a distinction very clear, or do you want me to go over it again? Date is different from time. Time is different from date time. Date time is also sometimes called timestamp too. Let me write it down. This is date. At least in programming, this is how we separate out everything. These are dates. This is time 4 p.m. or 3:33 p.m. This is a time value. And timestamps basically will have both a date part and a time part. 3:33 p.m. Clear? We can call these date time or timestamp. These are general names, not the names of the packages. In programming, we just represent only the date as in date and the time part as a time unit and everything containing date and time together as a date time or a timestamp. In Python, we can represent these dates, times, and date times as a string too. See, here nothing is stopping me from writing this date time value as a string. However, the problem with representing them as strings is, what if I have a date time stored as a string and I want to I want to add 2 days to it. Like I stored a date in here, right? But what if I wanted to add 2 dates to like increase this date by 2 days? This is not possible, right? This is at least not possible directly. Since we stored the date as an string, we cannot do this directly. This is where the time management packages come into play. This is not a problem just with Python. Even in other programming languages too, some languages don't even have an date or time management data type. They directly represent them as strings. But Python is rich, right? Rich. It provides packages for us to data types for us to represent time, dates, and date times or timestamps together. And these are the packages that allow us to do. First, let me just go over time very quickly. The basic time module has only two functions with it. At least these are the only two functionalities, two cases where we use it. In order to import time, we just use like this, import time. And then the two functionalities that I told earlier as one is to count the time difference between, let's say, I have 100 lines of code and I want to track how much time it took to run those 100 lines of code. What I will do is, I will just import time and then create a new variable called start time. And then I just use time.time. What this will do is it will just return back an timestamp as an integer. It looks like Unix code. We basically call this Unix code. Just understand this. When I do time.time, it will return the current time of the system. Now here I can write my 100 lines of code. I'm just writing small comments in here. And then at the end of the code, we will just capture the time again. And then if we subtract them out, elapsed time is nothing but end time minus start time. This is the one use case of time module. Use it to record how much time it took for us to execute code. We record the time at the starting, we record the time at the ending. When we subtract it out, I think it should return a microseconds, or let's see. Elapsed time. Epoch January, this function commonly used to perform timing. What did it return? 2.5. I think it returns microseconds. Give me a minute. Elapsed time. Let me check. Time dot sleep. By. Yes, it will just return seconds. When you capture the starting time and ending time in two different variables and just subtract them out, it will just return the how many seconds elapsed for us to execute a piece of code. Is this clear? This is one use case of time module. And the other use case is introduce delays. What if I want to, let's say, I ran this print statement one. And now, before printing this second statement or before executing a next piece of code, I want to wait for, let's say, 5 seconds. Then we can achieve that even using the time module. All we have to do is time dot sleep. And we should mention the number of seconds that we should wait. Here, I will wait for 5 seconds. If you see, this print got executed, this line of code got executed, and whenever Python sees the time dot sleep, it will wait for that many seconds, and then after waiting, it will start executing the next line. Here, if you see, I asked it to wait 5 seconds, and even Jupyter is telling me that it waited around 5 seconds too. Okay, these are the only two use cases where we use the time module for capturing the time, starting time, ending time, and subtracting it out to get the elapsed time. And the second use case is introducing delays into our code or making a code stop executing for a specific amount of time before the next line is executed. Okay. Do any of you have anything to say about the time module? Is everything clear?
Yeah,
Good.
clear, clear.
Just starting time, ending time, separation to get the elapsed time, and then the sleeping, delaying a program execution for a set amount of time. Here you will find me. See, I am using this like this, right? From import time and then using the functions in time module directly like this. Time dot time and time dot sleep. However, where if you followed my yesterday's class clearly, we could have even done this from time import, sleep, and time. In such case, we just need to do this. This is nothing but different ways of importing functions from the time module. We could just import time, sleep separately and then use them, or we could import the entire time module and then use the functions in them. Good. Since the time module is very small, we generally do directly import the module itself, and because just doing this is confusing, right? If I do this, the name time and sleep are too generic. They might get confused with other names. So what we generally do for time module is we import the entire module. Yesterday, if you remember, I told not to import the entire modules and only import specific functions. But this is an exception. Since the time module is extremely minute, we can do this. Good. Now let's go over date time. Date time module offers us several data types for modeling times and dates. Import date time, date and time and time. Okay. As you see, this time is different from the above time. Let me show you how the above time, let me print it. Start time. See, the above time is just a number. The time that is resulted by the above time module is nothing but a number, an integer. If you can see, let me print the type to type start float. Okay, this is a float. But the time that we get using the datetime module represents the actual time, like hours, minutes, and so on. Okay. This can be confusing. Just know that date time is nothing but date object plus time object. That's it. There is no other difference between them. Now let me, what if I wanted to, how we use this datetime module? We can use this in two ways. First, we can, this is mostly used to get the current time. What if I want to know the current time during the program execution? In such case, what we do is, hmm, current time, this is nothing but a variable, date time dot now. What this gives back is, this will give back the current time when during the execute, when this line executes, what is the time on this system? It will return back that. Let me print the value too. If this is confusing, just understand this layer. Let me put it this way. This is no different from when we tried to create a dictionary, right? When we tried to create a dictionary, we just opened curly brackets and it returned back a dictionary object, right? Here, even in this case, we are just creating a time object and it is returning back a time object that I am storing in my variable. That's it. And just like how a dictionary has methods and attributes on it, even the date time objects, date objects, and time objects also has few attributes and methods over it. What we will do here is we will first see how we can get current date time, current date, current time, and then we go over the attributes of date time object, then methods of date time object, then same the attributes of date objects and date methods of date objects, then attributes of time objects and methods on time objects. Then we will also see how we can get a date from date time object and time object from date time object. Let me try to print. I am printing the actual value. Also, let me try to print the type too. Hmm. Int type current time. Okay, looks like I didn't execute this line. Good. If you see, it printed this is the date time value. As I told you, date time is a timestamp. It will contain a date part and a time part. If you see, today's date is fourth month and April 2nd, right, of 26th year, and the time is 5:22. Good. This is representing in railway time 5:22 and 52 seconds. And if you see, these are microseconds. It will capture time up to microsecond resolution. And then I tried to print the type, and as you see, the type is date time dot date time. Since just writing datetime is confusing, so it will just write its module name, and from that module I am a datetime object. This is what it is telling us. Now, what if you just wanted a current date? You could have just done this, or date not now. Does this have a date not now? No. Datetime dot now, current time dot date. See, I just wanted the current date. I don't need the time part. All I did was the we already have the about date time object, right? I just asked the date time object to just please return your date part. And I can even do this. I can even get the time part from it too. Print current date, print current time. Let me print all of them together. So it okay. The variables are confusing, right? Let me rename it to date time. See, here I just tried, this is a date time or a time stamp object. This will contain a date part and a time part. And here we even printed this value to see how it looks. And we even tried to check its type to just confirm it. Now here we tried to extract the date part from the date time object. So all we did was use the date method on it, and it will return a backend date part of this date time object. And if I do a time, it will return back the time part of this date time object. Let me also print the types after their values. Type current date, type current time. There are three different lines, right? Three different print statements. The first print statement, I asked it to print the actual date time object and the type of the object. See, if you see, the type is date time dot date time. And the second one, I just tried to print the date part. See, we only got the date. And when I confirmed it, try to confirm its type, it is date time dot date. And the third one, only the time part. When I tried to know its type, it is date time dot time. Is this thing clear on how we can find out the current date time using datetime dot now, and then extracted the date part and time part separately and printed them? Okay, is this clear, or is this confusing? Do you have any doubts regarding date time and datetime dot now? Good. No. Here we just asked Python to get us return back the current date time, right? But what if I wanted to create my own custom time? Like I wanted to represent Jan 1st 5 p.m. On 2021, on year 2021. This is extremely simple. Let me create a new custom date time. This is just a variable name, just that I just picked up. Here, all we should do is we should write the imported datetime function name. Then we can start mentioning our values. Year is equal to 2021, right? 2021. I will write it in multiple lines to make it convenient to see. Year, month is equal to 1. Day is also equal to 1. Hour is equal to 5. And now minutes. Minutes. Does this have a minutes? Yeah, minute is equal to 0, 5 p.m. Second, we can even mention seconds is equal to 0. Microsecond is also equal to 0. Just like I told earlier, a date time object can capture a time resolution up to a microsecond. See, previously, we used datetime.now to get the current datetime value. Python automatically knows the current time, so it returns back that value. But now, when if I wanted to create create a custom time that I would like to store, I can create it using like this. We just have to use the datetime function and pass the arguments. Here you can even miss some arguments and it will default them to some predefined values. It will default them to 1 if a month can be defaulted to 1, right? Okay, but hour can yes, hour can also be defaulted to 1. Minute cannot be defaulted to 1 since 0 is a valid value, so it will default minute to 0. Minute, second. These values, the minute, second, and microsecond, if you don't mention them, they will go to 0 automatically. And then year, month, day, and hour, they will go to 1, I think. They will go to 1. But if you want to capture a complete time, you should mention every field. Now, let me try to print it. Custom date time. See, this is how we can create a custom date time object. Previously, we just fetched the current date time directly, but now we created a custom date time to represent our own date. What if I want to create a custom date, just the date part? You can create the custom date time and then do this. Or easy way is to just use the date and just mention your date directly. Year is equal to 2021. Month is equal to 1. Day is equal to 1. See, pretty identical, right? If you want to create date time, you will use date time function and mention all the values. But if you just want a date, you can either retrieve it from the date time using dot date method, or you can create a new one using date function from date time module. The same is true for time too. If you want to create a custom time object, you could have derived it from custom date time dot time, the date time object, or you could construct it directly using time. Minute, hour is equal to 5. Minute is equal to 0. Seconds is equal to 0. Microseconds. Second is micro is equal to 0. Let me print it. Custom time. See, here we auto-generated date times, dates and times, and we also looked at how we could create a custom date time value, a custom date object, and a custom time object. Okay, is this everything up until here clear, or do you have any doubts? Good. Now, let me go over timestamps very quickly. Do you know that time is different from different at different places? Like this is 5:32 in India, right? Currently. But what do you think the time is current time at USA? I think it should be around 5:32 p.m. in India. But on USA, it should be approximately, I think, 6 a.m. It will be 6 a.m. in USA. Time is different between different places. This is very extremely important. This fact is extremely important because whenever we write code in our production, we our clients, we are from India, right? We develop our code in India, but we don't know where our code will be deployed. It can be deployed in Europe, or it can be deployed on USA. It can go to Tokyo, it can go to South Korea, or it can run anywhere. The problem with this fact is, if it there are different the time in India is different from the time in Japan, right? How can we capture this difference? Let's say we haven't encoded where let's say two different, the same app has been deployed in India, and two different users, one from India and one from Japan, tried to create an user on the same app. Now, if I just, I need to capture the created time, right? Let me say I wanted to capture the created time. A user from India, user from Japan. Now, when user from India clicks signs up, our time will record correctly. Let's say 5:30 p.m. But the same user from Japan tried to sign in, and even his time will be logged in as 5:30 p.m. Now, if I showed him, but his actual time would be something different. Like his actual time will be, there will be, I think, 4 hours advanced than us. His actual time will be 4:30 p.m. But we recorded it as 5:30 p.m. And if I show 5:30 p.m. on his profile pic that you signed up at 5:30 p.m., it would look very ugly, right? Because he signed up at 9:30 p.m., but we stored it as 5:30 p.m. This is disastrous. We should never do it. So what we generally do is we capture the timestamp, or where was this time created. 5:30 p.m. in India. If I stored it like this, 5:30 p.m. in India, and 9:30 p.m. in Japan, it would have made sense, right? Even if I failed to store 9:30 p.m. in Japan and stored 5:30 p.m. in India, and if let's say I forgot to capture Japanese time, but I stored 5:30 p.m. in India, at least this makes more sense than just representing 5:30 p.m. on his profile. He will just understand that okay, this time is from Indian, this is showing Indian time, so this is correct, factually correct. I am trying to decode Japanese time from it. This is more reliable, at least. So what happens is for any date or date time objects, we need a timestamp. We need to know where this time is from. Let's say here I said 2020 2021 Jan 1, right? Here this the date is 2021 Jan 1. But where is this date from? Is this 2021 Jan 1 in India, or is this 2021 Jan 1 in USA, or is this 2021 Jan 1 in Tokyo? There are two ways to address these situations. We can directly embed the timestamp like this. Let me show. See on my take a look at my right side screen. We can import from PyTZ import timestamp. This is just a single import, and then whenever we are creating a date time object or a date object, we could just mention time zone is equal to time zone Asia Kolkata, time zone UTC, or time zone USA, something like that. We looked at four ways of creating, right? We did this, we did this, we even did this, we did this. This is to get the current timestamp. This is to create a custom date time, create a custom date, a custom time. Here, all the following will take tz argument. All we have to do is from PyTZ import time zone. You can ignore why we should do this. We should just remember that we should wait. What is this? Pip install PyTZ. This should be pre-installed. I don't know why this is misbehaving. Datetime dot. Oh, okay, fine. TZ is equal to time zone. There are codes for each every location. You can look it up on web. For India, this is Kolkata. The safest bet is if you don't know which timestamp you are dealing with, just write UTC. This is the safest bet. UTC is a standard time zone. The moment someone sees UTC, they will convert it back into their own time. You need not pay any more attention. If you know that your app is only scoped to a single location, then look up the code for that time zone code for that on the web and write its code here while creating a date time object or a date object or a time object. But if you don't know the time zone you are dealing with, just write UTC over there, and the one who is using the data, the moment they know that it is an UTC time, they will convert it into their local time and use it in their application. Here, let's say you designed a backend pipeline with UTC time and stored it in UTC time. Let's say the front end is from USA. They read your database data, but and they saw that this date time is UTC. So they will convert it back to USA local time and show it in their front ends. If you are unsure, use UTC. But if you are sure that your app will only run in a specific location, in that case, you should write the time code like this. And the same format exists for every when we are creating a timestamp like this datetime.now, or when we are creating a date. Even when we create a date, we can mention TZ. Unexpected argument. Good. Let me see. Timestamps. date, time dot date, future, time delta. I have written a separate section just for attaching time zones to date related modules. Yes, time zones for time related objects. Good. Here, time zone classes. Yes, we can attach a time zone to date time. We can attach a time zone to mm, date objects and time zone. Can we attach a time zone to TZ? Time. Yes, looks like we can't attach time zone to date, but we can attach time zone to time. See, if you see here, I created a date object separately, then a time object separately, then combined it using a date time dot combine function, date object and time object to create a new date time object with timestamp. Time objects and time zone. Just we can attach a time zone to time, but not date. But we can attach time zone to date time too. There is a entire separate section just for attaching time zones to date objects. It is very easy to understand. Just go over it. For now, we will proceed with the time modules, ignoring the fact that they have time zones. But in the end, just take a look at that section and it will be extremely clear on how to attach time zones to dates, date times and dates and times. Good. Now we have covered on how to get a current date time, how to create a custom date time, how to create custom date, and how to create custom time, right? Now we will explore different attributes of each object. Let's go time lastly. See, I will just read them out loud. They are just self-explanatory. See, for date time, the attributes you can even guess them. You can when we create a date time object, it stores year, month, day, hour, minute, second, and microsecond, right? See, it the object itself will expose that data as an attribute, which simply means if we have a date time object, we could just do year, and it will return back the year of this object. This is the whole reason why we stored the date time inside as an date time object and not as a string, right? The reason why I told that these packages exist in the first place is storing dates and times as pure strings is not rich. It does not expose functionality. However, see here, once we have an object, we can deduce which year it is, which month it is, which day it is, however, and we can even use this in our logic too. Like, what if we have orders across different months and years, and we only want to process orders from a specific year? In such case, what we do is we iterate over every order and fetch the time of every date time of every order, and then using that date time we will deduce the year using dot year attribute. Then we will do something like this: order dot date time dot year is equal to 2021. Proceed your logic here, else skip. We could do something like this, right? If this is possible because the date time objects exposed the data as these attributes, and you need not even remember them. They are quite easy to understand, right? They are even self-explanatory. And now you should remember these. Date time objects also expose few useful methods. Dot weekend will return back whether it is an weekend or not. It is a true, returns the day of the week, 0 to 6, where 0, wait, this got truncated. 0 is the Monday. 0 is Monday. Good. Looks like if we do dot weekend on a date time object, custom date time dot weekend, it will return back a number from 0 to 6. And if the value is 0, it is Monday. If the value is 1, it is Tuesday, and so on. We can make our decision making logic based on it. See here, it is returning 4. Why did it return 4? Because okay, Jan looks like 2021 Jan 1 is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is 4, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2021 Jan 1 is Friday. How did we figure it out? It just returned 4, right? Let me even try to print the actual date to print custom date time. See, the actual date is 2021 Jan 1, 5 p.m. And I tried to find out which day of the week is this date time. And then it returned back 4, which means that 4 is a Friday. So this date is a Friday. This is how we can make our decision making. And then, okay, we already covered dot date. It will just return back the date part of a date time object as a new date object. And dot time will return the time part of the date time object as a new time object. And time dot today, current local time. This is no different from, give me a minute. Date time dot today. This is the same as date time dot now. Then why did I put C time dot today dot custom date time dot 2026 for today? Yes. Looks like dot today is the same as now, but it can also be used with any object. Let's say you have any date time object and you do a dot today, it will return back the current value, current date time value. Okay, this is kind of confusing, right? Let me change this. Date time dot today. Mm, Time delta date time creating dates attributes and methods. Okay, we covered the all the attributes. We even went over these 4 methods, and then dot ISO format is important and easy to understand too. Let's say you have a time. This date time object can belong to any time zone. It can contain anything. But what if I wanted a string? I want to construct an universally accepted string. All I have to do is dot ISO format. It will return back the date time value as a string, because some languages doesn't support datetime objects directly. So what in such cases, what we are forced to do is we have to convert our datetime objects into strings first and then share that string. And this string cannot be in a random format. This ISO format is internationally accepted format. Here there is a strict restriction on how the where the year should be. Here the year is in the starting, right? But what if I say I want to write the year in the end? This can be hard. When systems are interacting with each other, this can be hard to understand. So the ISO format is an internationally recognized, a standardized format. Any times that we share across systems should be in this format. Uh, yes, if you want to convert your date object into a standardized string, then all you have to do is use .iso format method on it. And now time spec. What if you only want to send the date time, but only up to a certain resolution? Like you only want to send it up to seconds and not microseconds. Time spec separator auto sequence on docs.python. Let me try to write sec. Yes, second. No, there is another. Hmm, good. See here, this will also accept an argument called time spec. In time spec, you can mention whether the string should contain up to minutes or it should contain up to seconds or whether it should contain up to microseconds also. Let me write down minutes in here. It will only contain up to minutes. See here 5 p.m. and 00, right? They are minutes. In the seconds part, the remaining part is truncated. If you want to get a string and if you want to only share up to a certain precision or certain only up to certain hours or certain minutes or seconds, you can mention it directly in here using this argument. And now we have taken a look at how we can convert the date time objects into string, right? What if we have a string storing the date time and we want to parse it back into a date time object? This is how we can do it. String parse. Let me copy this. When here that day strp time, this is the function, and the actual string, the date that is stored as string, should be passed as the first argument, and then as the second argument we should tell the Python that this is starting with the y part is here, the month part is here, and the date part is here, so that it can parse it back. Like let's say I wrote my own format. I wrote months first, the date like this. Let me write it down. 0103. No, let me make it even more weirder. 2021. See, if you take a close look at this date, this is kind of confusing, right? I wrote days first, then year next, and month next. Now I am asking Python to parse it back or construct a date time object from it. In that case, I should mention which position is what is stored where, right? If I don't do it, Python doesn't know. Then date time. You might ask, how should I know these codes? Or which code will represent Y, which code will represent a month, date, hour, minute, and second. The point is, we should not remember this. We can just search them upon Google. Like Python, we should search them like this: Python date time codes. They will pop up directly, and we can use those codes to parse back our string. In our case, I represented month first, then I represented year, then I represented day. No, sorry, I wrote days first. strp. Why is this shouting at me? strp. Okay. Dot strp time. Mhm. Type object date time has no attribute is strip time. Okay. Let me try to print the C time. See, it parsed it back. Here I parsed this date back, this string back into an date time object. And since I didn't, this doesn't contain anything about hour and time, it automatically defaulted them to 0. The parsing is the process of converting a string back into a rich data type. In our case, here we are converting a string back into an date time object, and we can do that using datetime dot strp function. First argument is the actual string value, and the second argument is also a string, but denoting the format of the date that we would like to parse. And here, if you see, there is a strf time method too. Previously, what we did was we used .iso format, right? ISO format automatically returns a standardized string, converts our date time into an standardized string format. But what if we want to create our own format? Like I want to strf time. I want to put months first, then year in the middle, and day at the last. Here, even you can achieve the same. Here, the codes for parsing and formatting are the same if you see. Formatting is like converting a datetime object into our custom string, and parsing is like converting an custom datetime string back into a datetime object. Is the difference between formatting and parsing clear? We can do formatting in two ways. We can use it as method dot. If we have a datetime object, we can use it as dot strf method and then pass the format that we would like to convert it into. Or we can even use datetime dot strf function, and then the first argument is the datetime object and the second argument is the format into which it should be formatted. The format and parse can be they do the opposite things. One converts a string into an datetime and the other converts the datetime back into a string, and both of them will take datetime as inputs and a format as strings. Here you need not remember this. You can just google it up when you need it. Yeah, that's it. We With that we covered most of the attributes on datetime objects and the useful methods on datetime objects. This is all you have to know. And now the time, since we covered everything on date time, right? Now what about date objects? Everything that we do on date objects is nothing but a subset of attributes and methods on date time objects. Let me go over it quickly. Date time dot date. See, this is how we can create. Yes, year, month, and day. If you see, we have the same attributes on date time too, right? But this doesn't have time, a minute, and second because date doesn't store such kind of information, right? So those attributes are skipped. And even the formatting looks identical. Looks like we can even format a date into a string using a .iso format, .strf format into our custom form. But this will only take the date part. It won't take any time part since it doesn't store any operations on date. I will cover this later. And let's go over time quickly too. Creating time objects. We can create them from date times or we can create directly from using time function from date time. And attributes, if you see, they are a subset of date time attributes. It will only have hour, minute, second, and microsecond. It won't have year, month, and day since it will not store that information. And we can even convert time to an standardized string using .iso format method or our custom string using .strf method. If you see, it will only accept the time formatting hour, month, and seconds, and not year, date, and month. And we can even parse back an string storing just the time back into a time object using time.strp method. Now, are there any doubts regarding how we could create dates, times, and attributes on date times, date and times, and methods on date times, date and time? Uh, the fact is you can ignore most of them. You only need to know how to create current date, current time, and how to access some attributes from it, and know that few methods exist on it. So whenever you need those methods, you can Google them up and read about them and use them. Like see, there is a strf method and strp method, right? Even we sometimes forget we know that those methods exist but we don't know the exact format. So whenever we need to use that method, we just look them up on the web and then use them in our code. you should remember on how to create them and how to access attributes from them, and some methods if possible. Okay. Are there any doubts? Good. Now, up until this point, we have only discussed about creating, accessing attributes and methods, right? But we didn't cover anything related to operations. Whenever I mean operations, it can mean arithmetic, relational, logical don't exist on them. Yeah, logical operations. Arithmetic means whether we could add two dates or whether we could subtract two dates. Adding two dates doesn't make any sense, right? Like how can I add? Does it? Let me see. Can we add it them? Current date time one. Let me try to create a date time one. Date time dot now. Date time no. Date time two is equal to date time year is equal to 20 2021. Okay, I will skip. Month is equal to 1, day is equal to 1. I will skip the rest. Let's see what happens when we try to add two date times. Date time 2 plus. Oh, looks like see, it doesn't make any logical sense, right? When we try to add two date times, but it absolutely makes sense when we try to subtract them. Because when we subtract two dates, we get the time span between both of those dates, right? See, here when I subtracted date time 2 from date time 1, I got negative 1918 days, 558 this much time. Also, there is this many days difference between these 2 days and this much amount of time. When I meant time, after this many number of days, 5 hours and 58 minutes, the difference is. Now, let me try to capture the difference in a variable and let me try to print the type. Print type diff. See, the type of the difference between any two date time objects is a time delta. Time delta is nothing but it is a way, Python is the way for Python to tell us that this object is representing difference between time, the span of time. Like this is representing 5 days, this is representing 10 days, like this is representing 2 years, and so on. How is this useful? Yes. What if we have a time and we want to find the, let's say, current date? I want to know the date time after 256 days. From today, I want to know the date time after 256 days. How can I achieve it? Let me capture the current time in a variable called ctime and date time dot now. And from date time, I will import time delta. Just like time deltas can be created when we subtract two date times or two dates or two times, automatically it will result back in a time delta object. We can add this time delta object back to another date to get back as a date, or we can create our custom time deltas, like span time delta. See, here I can mention created different. No, this doesn't take, this only takes years. 12, 122 days. Hours, 5 hours. This time delta functions or time delta object solves one problem. What if I want to find a date after a specific amount of time? Then new time is nothing but current time plus time span. Now let me try to print back the new time and also the type of new time. See, here what I just did, what I had an existing date time object. I just added this difference, this time delta value to that object. and then I derived a new date time object, which is nothing but the current time plus this 122 days. If you see, it is eighth month, and eighth month, I think this is August, August 2nd. So 122 days after today is August 2nd. This is the problem that time delta solves. Whenever you subtract two date times or dates, it will result back in a time delta object. And using that time delta object, we can find the difference. Like time delta object exposes some attributes too.
So
Here,
we can't add two dates, but we can add date
hmm,
and time delta.
exactly, because time delta is not an actual date, it is a difference, it is a range. Like
Hmm.
today is 25th, what is today? April 2nd, right? Does adding April 2nd with April 2nd make sense? No, right? We can't. How can we add two Aprils? But it makes sense to add 50 days to April 2nd.
Yeah, yeah.
Time delta is a span of time. We can create custom time deltas using just like how we create date times and dates by importing it from the date time module, or whenever we subtract two date times or two dates or even two time objects, it will automatically return back an time delta object, and the resulting time delta object can be arithmetically operated on any other let me give you an use case. Let's say there are two date times, three date times. What you want to do is subtract the first two, fetch the time span, the number of days between these two dates, and add that back to the third object. We can't achieve it directly using date time, right? We should first subtract them out, which will return back in time delta, and that time delta can be added to the third date. And now let's go over the attributes of time delta. Time delta, just like dates, also exposes few useful attributes. Like, where is this? See, we can create it like this. Like we can mention weeks, number of weeks you want, number of days you want. This is cumulative, like 1 day, 1 week, 2 days. So in total, 9 days. 9 days, 3 hours, 4 minutes. It's not like 1 week. Oh, is this clear? This is cumulative. Any time you mention here is a single span. You should not understand it like, since I mentioned 1 week, days is ignored. Since I mentioned days, a week is ignored. I think you can even mention months in here. Let's see, can I mention month in a time delta? Time delta, month. Yes, cool. You can even mention month. You can mention time difference as 5 months, week as 3 weeks. Okay, rural, right? No, you can't mention months. It is only allowing us to mention weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds, and microseconds too. Let me try months again. Months. No, this is not taking months as an argument. This means you can't do something like I need to add 5 months to my current date. You have to first find the number of days or weeks it contains, and then create a time delta using that, and then add it. This is quite annoying, right? Like, what if I want to add 5 years to my date? What if I want to add 5 months to my date? Time delta is not allowing us to do it directly. It is allowing us to do, but it is only taking weeks and days. We have to calculate the number of days in those 5 years and then put it as a days argument, which is quite annoying. This is why the relative delta exists. Just like how time delta represents an difference in time, a span of time, which can be added back to an date or time objects. Relative delta is also an represents time, a span of time. But in order to use relative delta, we have to import it first from date. Yes, from date util dot relative delta, import relative delta. everything remains the same. It is an just identical to time delta. It can be added to dates or date times, but it is much more rich. It will accept more argument. Let's see here. This will even accept. See, it even is accepting years. I can add 33 years to my current day, but time delta is not allowing me to do that, right? I can even add months. And relative delta is nothing but an advanced form of time delta. It even offers much more functionality. You can go through it, you will understand. But when it comes to arithmetic operations, you can subtract two date time objects, or you can even subtract two date objects, and you can subtract two time objects. They will always written in an time delta object representing the span, the difference between those two time units. And you can see the difference using it exposes few arguments like days. Time delta exposes arguments like days, days. Does it expose weeks? Yes. No. You can use these to find the difference, like how many minutes are in between those two times and so on. Good. Why? Attribute error has no attribute hours. No hours. Let me see. What are the attributes that time delta exposes? Good, good, good. Comparing no attributes. Okay, it will only expose days, hours, and seconds and microseconds. It looks like it doesn't even expose the minutes attribute. But I think a relative delta will expose much more attributes than a time delta. Let's see what relative delta exposes. Attributes. Date, creating. Yes, it exposes years, months, days, hours, minutes, seconds. It even delta weekday, accessing additional attributes like weekday, Tuesday, Sunday, leap days, the number of leap days, okay, number of weekdays. See the dot. This is much more rich, right? This is even exposing the number of leap days that that the time span contains. Let's say the difference is 5 years, and it is stored as and related to delta. And when I do dot leap years attribute on it, it is even counting me the number of leap days it contains. It is the number of years, okay, the number of months, the day, year. This is very rich. You can just read over the different attributes and what it means. Now we have finished arithmetically operating, right? We cannot add it anyway, so we subtracted it. It gave us back a time delta, and time delta we can get it by we can create custom time deltas for adding it to our date times or dates, or we can get it by subtracting two things. Relative delta is nothing but a superior version of time delta, which should be imported separately. And there is absolutely no difference, and it is much more rich. It offers much more attributes and much more methods. Time delta and relative delta represent a span of time, which can be added or subtracted from other time units. Now we will go over relational operations. Like it is very easy. It is very direct too. We can compare whether a date unit or a time unit is greater than another or not. Date time dot one. Do I have this? Yeah, I have them defined over here, right? So we write it down here. Here I can directly compare whether a date time is greater than another date time or not. And this makes sense, right? This is my way of finding where whether one date like Jan 2021 Jan 1 is 2021 Jan greater than 2022 Jan 2. No, right? False. It will return a false. Exact. See, something like this. We can find out whether greater than, less than, just like how we can use a greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or even double equal to find whether two numbers or two strings are equal. We can do the same with dates. And it will always return back a Boolean value, whether it is a true or whether it is false. And that's it. The relational operators on date, this will work on date times, dates, and time objects too. You need not remember them separately. But note that you should only operate a date time with a date time and date with a date time with a time. You should not operate a date with a date time. It might lead to an error and it is quite confusing, right? How can you compare a date with another date time? You should compare two units of two values having same units and not different units. And arithmetic only contains subtraction, and it will not support addition. And relational only contains greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than or equal to, and double equal to. And then logical operator. Yes, that's it. There are no logical operations on date time objects. Yes. And that's it. We completed everything. Here, we went over time, the base time, which there are only two uses for it. We should just use it to find the difference between two points of the code to know that how much time it took to execute between 2 points of 2 points in our code. And it is also used to delay a piece of code for a certain amount of time. And then date time module. Date time module, unlike time, is very rich and will expose several objects like date time, date, time, and time delta. Date time is date time objects can be created, custom date times can be created, or we can get the current date time using datetime.now or datetime.today. And date objects can be created, can be created, or can we can deduce them from another date time object. We even went over different methods that date time objects contain and date objects contain and time objects. You just have to remember it for date time, and for dates and time you just have to remember their subsets. That's it. And there are only few methods on date times, like strf time, strp time, and ISO format. And then time delta. Time delta can be custom time deltas can be created, or when two date times or dates or times are subtracted from each other, we get back a time delta object. We can use time delta objects arithmetically with other date units. Relative delta is just an advanced version of time delta, which is exposes much more attributes and much more methods than time delta. That's it. Your takeaway from this note, there are other packages here too, like yeah, you can go over time zones. It is very pretty easy for date times and times. You can attach a time zone just by using tz attribute while creating them, and by importing pytz time zone from pytz. If you don't know which time zone you are working with, just use UTC. But if you know that your app will only be limited or scoped to a single region, then you can look up the time zone code for that on the web and then use that. Here there are time for NumPy and Pandas in this notebook too. You can ignore this. This entire notebook is about how we can represent time in our Python code and various modules that help us to do it, and how we can convert times into strings and strings into times, and how we can operate, or how we can get their attributes, know their methods, and operate them, like subtract them, add them together, and that's it. This no this notebook is very long and might look scary, but once you give it a thorough reading, I think you need not remember everything. The only thing that you should remember is this: from date time, import date time, current time is equal to date time dot now. If you are particular about time zone, you should do this from PyTZ import time zone. Wait, import time zone. Time zone UTC. This is the only this and time dot sleep. This is the only thing you should remember in this notebook, and you should know that you can operate them arithmetic operate, relation operate, deduce dates and deduce times. This is the only snippet or that you should remember, your takeaway from this notebook. Are there any doubts related to today's class? Good. Okay, with that oh no, just a minute. I forgot to explain just one module, OS. Okay, I will take care of this thing later. With that, we completed most of our Python code. There is nothing in Python for me to explain to you anymore. There are stuff, but you can figure them out on your own. From tomorrow, I think I will make tomorrow's class and doubts class. Tomorrow is Friday, right? Okay. I will make it an doubts class where you can come up with your own doubts, or if you have any snippets, the code snippets that you want me to go over and explain, bring them. And tomorrow we will recap everything that we have learned just shortly. And from Monday, I think I won't be taking a class on Saturday. And from Monday, we will start Pandas. We will learn Pandas for 4 to 5 days. And from then, we will proceed to learn Spark on the last few days. Okay, that's it. Do you have any more? Yeah.
No.
Oh, fine. That's it for today. Thank you.
Okay.